All right, family. We are back at it. I'm back in here for a little bit. I'm going to try to get this stuff set up. I'm just going to give the family a little bit to come in. We're going to see. I'm hoping you all are having a good week so far. Hoping that you had a great weekend. I know a lot of us actually, did watch the fights. So that's always a cool thing when we have good fights, right? On tonight, I'm actually gonna be exploring another buzzword, right? And I actually started hearing this long before I even began my journey in mental health. And it was all this talk about bipolar. You know, it's often one of those things, no different than the personality disorders that we have explored in the past, right? It's one of those things that it's so misunderstood. People just don't understand it, right? And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna do a quick live. I have work in the morning. Anyone that knows me and comes here often knows that I get up pretty early. But I did want to stop by and just talk to you all for a little bit and just have this conversation. Um, of course, y'all know that I'm pretty new to the whole StreamYard thing. So definitely anybody that's in here, you can definitely post a comment because I do want to make sure that these things are working okay. So if you want to let me know whether or not you're in here, that'll be really, really cool. That way I can see. This is my second time using this, y'all. So I'm trying to get a little more comfortable, right? All right. So when we say bipolar, y'all remember hearing that? Oh, you know, anybody that may display mood instability, if you will, then somebody will say, oh, they bipolar. Okay. Anybody remember hearing that? You know, oh, I know they bipolar because they got a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Come on, y'all. We got to cut the crap sometimes. This is what I do every day. I'm telling you, it's more than just these highs and lows. It's not as watered down as such. Oh, my good brother is in the building. Respect Ring Media LLC. I'm so happy to see you could make it. Hopefully, the sound is good. Thank you so much for joining and just showing support. I really appreciate you. Um, Definitely, if you want to drop your link in here, because anyone that has frequented this channel knows that all the family that comes here, I met them in the boxing space, y'all, the graveyard, you know. So definitely feel free to drop your link to your channel, my good brother Stephen X. I appreciate you so much being here, bro. All right, so let's get back to this. So if I were to say, yeah, they just really have highs and lows. Like I said, for one, it's not even scratching, beginning to scratch the surface of what one is really experiencing. Of course, bro. You already know it's all love. It's love within, so it's always love going out. Yeah, we gotta support the family. Um, and so most people, when they say these buzzwords, they don't even know that it's a such thing as bipolar one and bipolar two. You know, a lot of you have you heard about that? Have you heard that it's a such thing as bipolar one and bipolar two? right? So then you may ask, like I said, I'm not going to be on here long, but I just want to provide brief psychoeducation and also just a different perspective on this whole thing. If I were to go to bipolar one, we're going to journey there really quickly. In a nutshell, it's typically someone that may experience approximately about 7 days. So we're talking about a full week. Um, Sometimes some have reported a little longer. But in order to receive that diagnosis, they have had at least one manic episode that lasts for a period of 7 days. Now, when you hear that word manic or mania, all of the family that comes in here, i.e., notice I said it's quite intentional. I said the family. So I can't speak for everyone. I'm not going to make it a blanketed statement, right? But we know just the, everyday definition when one says mania or manic. We know that. But what does it look like for that person? Because in bipolar 1, you're seeing more of those types of episodes of the mania, the manic, this impulsivity, if you will. I've often done videos and we've had those convos about parts work and these various aspects of self. So even if this is something that you're not familiar with, bipolar that is, I'm going to try to give you an example that you can easily understand. And, I always shy away from the clinical jargon. Okay, I practice psychotherapy, but one thing I've always said, I'm a little concerned about a person that does such and they can't just put it in everyday lingo, right? Okay, so let's get back to this, y'all. So, that bipolar 1, that mania, we're talking about, picture this, you driving a vehicle. You were driving it at one point, in your course of your current self. Before you know it, once that mania, the symptoms begin to start, you are now in the passenger seat watching. It's almost like they describe, those that I've served, they describe it as watching themselves make these impulsive decisions, and they see that they're crashing. They see that, oh my gosh, this is going to be so bad. I can't afford to get another speeding ticket, because you'd be surprised during that period of manic behavior, that manic episode and mania, man, they can rack up some speeding tickets. But it doesn't just stop there. They can actually go several days, 2 to 3 days straight with no sleep, y'all. And I've actually talked about that because sometimes people have a misunderstanding even of what sleep deprivation can do to one mentally and psychologically, all of those things. All of us with sleep deprivation, we will actually start having visual and auditory hallucinations. You go long enough without sleep, that is what happens. So keep that in mind. This person is going, I would say, on an average, 2 to 3 days, little to no sleep. And I'm talking bare minimum. In the hours they are awake, they are going. I mean, they are hyper focused on whatever it is that they feel in that moment, this intense pull that they have to complete. So imagine a task before them, right? I want to welcome everyone that's here. Thank you again, my bro, for typing in the chat. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in via X as well. If you're in that formerly known as Twitter space, I appreciate all of you as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for any new subscribers. I appreciate you. So let's get back to this. right? So they're at this task day in and day out. Like I said, little to no sleep. Can you imagine that? It's like I've always said with personality disorders, they're misunderstood. People try to make this blanketed statement and this blanketed description of such. When that person is suffering, y'all, they're not even in control. They can see what's happening. Some of them have even reported they know something was off. Oh, let's get to blowing money. Oh my gosh. That impulsivity, before you know it, they could have gone through thousands within hours. That's scary to know that, right? Let's go a little farther. What about the irritability? And these symptoms I'm sharing with you, it's not a one size fits all, y'all. Everyone may look different, right? But the impulsivity, whatever it may be, that impulsiveness is there for all when they're in that manic episode. Okay? It's more to bipolar 1 disorder than just what I've described. But like I said, I wasn't going to be long on this live. It was just to provide a brief psychoeducation um, convo, you know, just to enlighten those who may have heard these buzzwords. You may have read about it, but I like to just give just what it looks like and remind people these people are suffering. So when we're just throwing around, oh, they bipolar. No, they are struggling. They are struggling. The relationships that can be lost. Listen to all of those impulsive behaviors I just listed. Can you imagine someone that you're connected to? Someone that's in your household experiencing such? Yeah, just a thought, just a different way to look at it. Let's journey over to that bipolar 2 so you can kind of see the difference in these two diagnoses, y'all. So now that bipolar 2, not only will they experience manic episodes, after that manic episode, y'all, sometimes I like to say, and I've even heard some of those that I've served, they'll say, I crash out afterwards. The family, it's not the crashing out that we're talking about, right? We're talking about literally they crash, like they plummet all the way down. Their mood goes from this sense of euphoria and grandiose thinking, and I mean, on top of the world, right? Because it's always been amazing to me how many, when they're receiving intensive therapy and services where where I'm employed at, I'll say, okay, say for instance they just got there, and I'll say, all right, so how you feeling? You're smiling, you're joking, and I'll ask, do you know where you are? Oh yeah, yeah, I'm at a CSU. For those that may not know, crisis stabilization unit, right? And I'll say, okay, good deal. So what do you think brought you here? Um, just feel a little off, but I mean, I feel good. I mean, I know something's off, but I feel good. I mean, I've never felt better. Now, all those symptoms I just described, like I said, we may be racking up speeding tickets. We may be racking up all these fines because a lot of them do have, the potential to get in a lot of legal trouble, y'all. And I'm sure now you can see how. They may have lost loved ones, they may have lost relationships that were so important to them. But when I ask, just seeking to understand, they're going to look at me with conviction in their eyes, y'all, and say, I feel great. I mean, I'm doing well. This is the best I've ever felt. They have that loud and pressured speech. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to stick to that too much because I do want to tell y'all about bipolar too. So, like we said, after they had that manic episode, the biggest difference is they plummet. I'm talking to a total depressive episode following that period of mania. And this depressive episode can be so heavy that they can begin to experience SI, which is suicidal ideation. Okay. Yeah. Can you imagine that, y'all? Can you imagine just a week ago, you're feeling on top of the world, this sense of euphoria, and only days later, you're feeling hopeless, worthlessness, possibly shame, guilt. I mean, all of the descriptives that you can imagine. Yeah. So, really briefly, like I said, that's the biggest difference. We're talking about one that is a lot of more the manic episodes. Two, you're going to see the manic, but with this plummeting to that depressive episode following thereafter. Okay. Overall, it's the mood instability. So one may say, okay, wow, Cam, you telling me that they have no control. They are just like a passenger riding, whether it be in mania or whether it be in depressive episode. You know, we've talked about depression. So you kind of can imagine exactly what I'm speaking of when I say a depressive episode, right? The wonderful thing, though, is that I always encourage people to get help because I've seen so many gain back that control, that sense of control, that sense of empowerment. How do they do that? They learn how to better manage these symptoms. Because when I said that they're feeling that they're the passenger and that they're just watching themselves speed in this vehicle about to rack up another ticket, reckless driving, it's because the symptom has begun to manage them, the individual themselves. And so we focus on not only prevention, but management. If someone is in that period of mania, I do not, like I said, I do not speak for all individuals that provide psychotherapy. I don't do that. No. But what I will say, I don't recommend that they partake in any activities that are overstimulating. Think about it. If they're already on 100, on 1,000, do you really think it's going to help them to be in activities that keep them stimulated nonstop? Can you imagine? Oh my gosh. Right? I mean, just think about that, y'all. Think about them saying, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go out here. I'm going to work out. I'm going to do, because the brain may tell them, I just need to burn energy. Mm-mm. For those of you who've been over here with me for, now it might be about a year now we've been doing this together. We want to do the opposite. When someone's in that period of mania, manic, if you will, we want to do mindfulness. That's what I encourage them to do. Anything that keeps them grounded, that keeps them in this calm state, lessening the noise. Yeah. And yeah, it may take a few days, it may take 5 days, but with intentionality, before you know it, they're no longer in this manic state, and their crash may look more like just catching up on a sleep. Now, that also, like I said, I provide psychotherapy, talk therapy, whichever one prefers to call it. Um, but what has also helped is sometimes the prescribers where I work at, they may recommend something to help with the sleep, to encourage, you know, that sleep. So that way the melatonin can be released naturally, right? And they can get back on a sleeping schedule. Then you may say, okay, that's for that manic. But what about the depressive episode? What do they need to do? They need to do the opposite action. So if they have gone so long with being in this place of lack of motivation, not getting up and taking showers, not fixing themselves anything to eat, sleeping for, just countless hours, laying around, not doing anything, that person may need to do something opposite of that, whether it be just get up and walk. Maybe say, you know what, my goal for the day is to stay out of my bed or stay out of my off of my couch for at least such and such amount of hours, right? And that can encourage them, the mind, and all those things to come out of that depressive state, if you will. When we're talking about bipolar, we're looking at more of, and this is one or two, it doesn't matter which one, we're coming more from CBT versus DBT. Okay. So DBT, we know, is that dialectical behavioral therapy. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. Yeah, you probably guessed. Yeah, we're talking about, yep. That would make more sense to use CBT, which is why I'll always, say, hey, if you want to begin to track your mood and monitor your mood, then you can also recognize when we're a little off, meaning that possibly we can prevent it from going into full blown mania. Uh oh, is that not giving us back that control that we have felt that we had lost for so long? Yeah. And so that's the goal always in that bipolar diagnosis, is to put that individual back in the driver's seat, right? Prevention and management. Those can be two key components that can be life changing for that individual. I'm not going to go any further. We've been on here for 20 some minutes. Like I said, I appreciate anyone that was able to just listen briefly. Um, I'm excited that y'all could stop by and just spend this time with me on this topic that, I'm sure a lot of you have even heard. You might have even told someone you acting bipolar, right? And so I say jokingly, because I like to always keep things a little lighthearted, right? We live in a world that has enough going on, but I'm hoping that the conversation that we had tonight will offer you a deeper understanding of what may really be happening with this individual versus just something you read about, right? Regardless if you or I do not have that diagnosis nor behaviors, with everything I've provided, you can at least show some level of empathy, right? You know, they're suffering, they're struggling in those moments. If you know anyone that can benefit from this video, share the video, touch that like button. If you want to donate to the channel, you can definitely feel free to do so. As always, be gentle with yourselves. Extend to self the same kindness, the same compassion, and the same grace that you extend to others. We're all doing this thing called life for the very first time. And even if you tell me I believe in reincarnation, nothing's wrong with that. I'm not here to judge anyone, but I would question, are you not doing life for the first time in this shell? Just something to think about, right? Thank you for being here. Thank you for visiting the channel. I look forward to our next convo, y'all. Blessings to you always.